What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of BK Talks Too Much. I'm your girl, BK Carter. On this episode here, we're going to talk about investing in yourself. And what it means to invest. Quite honestly, it's just here. It's just off the top. So investing in yourself. What does Google say investing means? Let's see what the Google says. Notinvesting.com. Investing definition. Invest means provide or endow someone or something with a particular quality or attribute.
Investing.
So what does it mean to invest in oneself? Well, let's break me down. For a while, I have been wanting to do a podcast. I started listening to podcasts a few years ago. It was called The Read. That's the first podcast I started listening to. And then, you be listening to podcasts and you're like, oh, I could do that. I could talk. I could just say stuff. But at the time, I really didn't know the avenue I wanted to go, the route I wanted to go. So I was just like, I'll do it eventually. So like a year and a half ago, I was like, I really need to hone in and try to do this podcast thing. So last year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a web page. I'm going to do the social media. I'm going to buy equipment and do all of that stuff. So at first I had my old computer that I had from college. The thing is still brand spanking new. I must have used it a handful of times. But what I want to do, of course I had to upgrade. If anybody needs a laptop, let me know. So the first thing that I decided to do, because I wanted to, really just like work on this and hone in on it and get better and, try to find a skill and an avenue that I can do this the best way possible. So the first thing that I did was I started to create a website. And my website at this time is currently under construction because I was creating the website and I was just like, I'm not sure, where I want to go with the website because I was just throwing stuff. And that's the thing with when you're investing in yourself. When you're investing in yourself, you actually have to sit down and make a plan. You can't just jump right into it. So that's the first thing that I did. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this all host bar. I'm jumping in. I'm about to dive in. I dived in it and I was like, the website is coming along, but the website doesn't make sense. I'm just doing a website because I need to do a website. You feel what I'm saying? And I was like, do I really need to do a website right now? We living in the land of social media, so I don't necessarily need to do a website at this moment in time. I'll do a website once I find my wings, get a little more comfortable, and understand the direction that I'm trying to go into. Investing. So I put a pause on the website. So then I was like, well, if I'm not going to do the website, what's the next best thing to the website? Social media. And I personally was never like the social media girl. Like, oh, let's get on social media. Let's take selfies. That's not what I do. I wasn't here for it. So I was like, you know what? If I want to do this right, I need to get on social media. So I got on social media and I started interacting with people, trying to figure out how are people interacting with other people. Are you just interacting with podcasters? Are you interacting with YouTubers? Are you interacting with just people in social media land? And so I had to figure that out. So when I got on Twitter, I noticed that people were getting followers and followers and followers. And I'm like, why don't I have followers? Why can't I get these followers? What am I doing wrong that I can't get these followers? Sorry, I had a text message. Why am I not getting the followers? So I would ask different podcasters on Twitter, like, how are you getting all these followers? So the consensus was that I had to interact with other people, not just podcasters. Because if you interacting with just podcasters, the only people that's going to see your stuff is other podcasters. So I was like,
oh, that makes sense.
So I had to get out of my shell. Because again, not one for social media. So once I started getting into the hang of the Twitter thing, then I was like, okay, let me do the Instagram thing. And Instagram, I feel like, is more vulnerable than Twitter because you got to post more and you have to, you got to show yourself sometimes and show what you're doing and all of that stuff. Investing. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it at all. I don't want to do this. It was too much. And there was a moment where I did get a little overwhelmed and I was like, you know what? I'm done. Like, I'm done. So once I kind of got into the hang of the social media thing, then I went over to YouTube. And I would watch a lot of YouTube videos and I would try to see like different YouTubes on how people started up their YouTubes, how people interact with people on Instagram, different Instagram formats and everything like that. Because let me tell you, when I first got on Instagram, my Instagram, it was just so what's the word I'm looking for? Chaotic. It was all over the place. It was every which way. And I was like, this is a mess. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't any direct point where I was going with my Instagram. So I had to figure that out. First, I had to clean up my biography on my Instagram because my biography on my Instagram looked like clutter and catastrophe. So I saw a video and it showed me how to clean that up. So I was like, okay, cool. Boom. Then I had to kind of organize my posts because my posts really weren't all over the place, but they were not consistent. So I had to be consistent with my posts.
Consistency is always key.
So once I got consistent for the most part with my posts, then I got a little bit more comfortable. And then it got to the point of just really investing in the show, investing in the podcast, investing in the format of how I want to do it. And then that got overwhelming. When I tell you, like, I have a notebook. I don't have a notebook right now, but I would sit down and write topics and try to have discussions and talk to myself. And I was like, this talking to myself is hard than a mug. Okay? It's hard. Talking to yourself is hard. And it never dawned on me that I could talk to myself on the camera. Because even though I'm still having a conversation, I'm having a conversation that I'm looking at something and I'm interacting with it. It's a little trick. Versus just in the studio and then just talking, or in your kitchen, in your bedroom, just talking and you don't have anything to interact with. You're just, okay, well, let me talk about something. And then when you don't have a co-host, then you can't really interact with somebody else. So once I figured that out, then I was like, all right, cool, I can do this. But I still wasn't consistent with doing my shows. Like I would do a show. When I first started, I was doing it frequently. And then I just got overwhelmed again because I didn't know what to do. And I knew that I wanted a co-host, but I didn't know how to get a co-host. I didn't know where to start. And you know, you have people in your life, you reach out to them or whatever the case is, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm interested. And then when you're like, okay, well, let's record on this day, let's talk about this, then they're like, okay, yeah. And then when it's time, then it's like, I bet you won't. And then they're not there. You know what I'm saying? And that happened to me a lot. I got a little discouraged, and I was like, you know what? Until I figure out how I can do this, I'm just not doing it. And I'm not doing it. Then I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I really want to do these podcasts, and I really want to get better at doing them. So I bought my new laptop. I bought my ring light. I bought my adapters. And then just recently I purchased my new toy. And I was like, I need these things so I can see how I look on camera. I can see how to edit. I can see how to edit video. I can see how to edit audio. I have something on this screen and I have something on this screen. I have my phone. I have my camera. I have it from all different angles so I can understand how I want to do this. So in this time during quarantine, it has definitely helped me out a lot to just sit back and just actually organize. So investing in yourself, it's going to take time, it's going to take money, it's going to take patience. And I think that with quarantine, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because it allowed me to actually sit down and think about things and plan things and organize, right? And it gave me time to format. So for what I do for my shows, like if I'm gonna do it by myself or if I'm gonna do it with some guests, I have a notebook, and you know, I write down topics, I jot down little things or whatever the case is. And then on my iPad, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I do my show notes somewhere in there. But I do my show notes and I write down my notes and I do questions and bullets, and I try to get stuff down that the conversation can stay flowing if I have guests and it's not awkward. Though, and it's going to be trial and error. It's definitely going to be trial and error. And with my quarantine talk segments, you know, I never wanted to be unauthentic, and I never wanted to be disingenuous. And if it doesn't feel right to me, then I get a little down on myself because I'm like, I know this could have been better. How could it have been better? So the good thing about recording video is that if you do have guests and you can watch it back and play it back and look at it and you're like, okay, well, how can I do this different? Well, how can I get the conversation to flow this different? Or whatever the case is. Just recently I did a show and it was supposed to be a lot of people, but it didn't end up that way. A lot of people fell through. I was not contacted, but it kind of discouraged me a little bit because I set a high bar for that show because I thought it was going to be a great show. We're going to have conversation. You're going to have emotion. You know what I'm saying? It was going to be a good, well-rounded, genuine, and authentic conversation. and it just didn't happen that way. And then I kind of felt myself trying to just get through it. I was trying to make it work, but it wasn't working. So you just take that as a practice. When you invest in yourself, everything is not always going to go the way that you want it to. When you invest in yourself, everything is not always going to go the way that you want it to go. You're definitely gonna hit some foul balls. You're gonna fumble, you're gonna fall. And my last show, it's one of those things. And when you invest in yourself, you always gotta listen to this person right here. I don't know if you can see this person right here, but this person right here, you always gotta listen to that person. Because if that person is like, sis, just do it another day, don't try to force it, then just do it another day. You feel what I'm saying? But I wanted it to be successful. I wanted to put it out there. I wanted to bring the conversation to light, but the conversation didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. It was very awkward and not molded the way that I wanted to. And of course, as the host, you take these criticisms and you're like, okay, well, this is what you got to do better next time. You got to be better prepared next time. Maybe for the next show, you just do a show by yourself, just to kind of get your chops back flowing, get your groove back. So that's here nor there. When you invest in yourself, that's what you have to do. You have to be able to look at yourself and say, this was a rough one. This was a tough one. You have to look at yourself and say, okay, well, let me put this out there and let me get some criticisms and see what other people think. You know what I'm saying? You have to put yourself out there, and you cannot get mad or be disappointed that things didn't happen the way that you wanted it to happen, but just be thankful that you was able to get that practice. Because you can never go wrong with a little bit of practice. And investing in yourself, practice. Practice, 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 practice. Practice makes perfect. Because it's practice. Practice makes perfect. I'm kind of at a point in my life right now where I feel as though I'm stepping into my next story. And my next story is to figure out my creative space. And people hop on YouTube and they hop on a podcast and they think that they can do it. And to be quite honest, this shit is hard. This shit is not easy. And it's harder when your heart is not in it. And I think that's what was happening once I first started. It was like, I know I want to do it. I want to get at it, but I didn't know how to get at it. And now that I'm home a lot, I'm able to sit down and figure out, this is how we got to do this thing. This is how you got to do it, sis. Because if you don't do it this way, then you just going to be like, what? Yeah. Investing in yourself is going to take time. It's going to take energy. It's going to take sleepless nights. It's going to take criticisms. It's going to take disappointments. It's going to take uplifting. It's going to take excitement. It's going to take encouragement. It's going to be all of these things to invest in yourself. Investing in yourself is probably the best thing that you can ever do in your life. All the rich, one thing that they have always said was, all I had was $100 to my name, and I took that $100 and I made $1 out of 15 cents, a dime and illegal. You feel me? And a lot of times people, when they know they want to create and they know they want to do something, they get into a place where they're like, damn, I don't got a lot of bread, I don't got a lot of money, I don't know if I can do it, I don't know. You feel me? I don't know, Kaka, I don't know if I can do it. But then one day you just like, okay, I got extra couple $100. Let me figure out how I could I don't know what this is, but let me figure out how I could do this. And sometimes you got, okay, I got $100. Let me take 80 of these dollars and let me go buy a little camera or something. It might not be the best camera, but you get your little starter camera, hold that $20, put it in your gas tank. You know what I'm saying? If you got like an extra $200, okay, let me go on Amazon. Okay, I could get a light, a mic, some headphones, and a mixer. Woo, that's the cheap one. It's $175, but I could do that. You feel what I'm saying? Sometimes you just gotta be like, you know what? It is what it is, and what it is what it ain't. And this is just what I got to do. Period. That's what the young girls. Period, Pooh. Yeah. So at the end of the day, yeah, this episode is real short and sweet and to the point. It's to the point. To the point. If you know that you want to create. If you want to cook, sis, cook. If you want to braid hair, sis, braid hair. Can't nobody tell you at the end of the day what it is that you can or cannot do. The only person that's ever going to stand in your way is you. Now, you may have the people that be like, oh, you doing that? Everybody got podcasts. Oh, you on YouTube? Everybody got YouTube. Oh, you trying to be famous? Everybody trying to be famous. Everybody's not trying to be famous. Some people just want to create and then they want to be behind the camera. They want to see the screen. They don't want to be on the screen. Some people they want to create. They want to see their images come to life. You feel me? Me. And then, some people, they want to be in front of the camera. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But it's going to take some time. It's going to take some energy. Because me and my homegirls want to be the best us that we can be. So, with that being said, I want everybody to love, to live, to get turned, create, don't hate. And, I will see y'all next week. I love you for watching. I love you for listening.